Isn't that kind of crazy that in order to join this gang, these dudes that are going to be your brothers got to put their hands on you?
It is what it isn't because that's the wild lifestyle you live in, I guess. And it's like they want to understand, like, okay, well, if this is going to be a problem for you, then this ain't really for you. Which it is sixth sense and it does make sense,
So walking into federal prison, in order for your homies to give you a knife, you got to have your docket sheet, which tells everything that happened at court. You got to have your sentencing transcript, which pretty much the judge and the lawyer, the defense lawyer, the prosecutor, they all talk and everything's going on at sentencing. They can tell whether or not you cooperated. And then your judgment of commitment, right?
I got my transcripts right here. Yeah.
So Magic, you're from Minnesota. You walk into USP Canaan, pretty dangerous place. You don't have a boatload of time, but they send you there anyway. What's it like walking into USP Canaan for you?
Well, before that, I was in Brooklyn jail for about 45 days, NBC Brooklyn. So I kind of got a rundown of how Canaan was going to be. But, I had a 60-month sentence. So going to USP in general was kind of crazy. But honestly, I just had to remind myself that I ain't got nothing to worry about, as far as myself. But I'm also hoping I don't get no riots and have to, trick it off with your car crashing out.
Where'd you grow up at? In Minnesota?
Yeah, Minneapolis.
What was it like growing up in Minneapolis?
I mean, it's probably the same as any other city that's that's any other hood. Fighting every day, especially me. You got to fight twice because you're more light, so got to fight a little harder. But those cold winters, so you're gonna learn. I mean, you're gonna learn to get through shit. You want to get to the winter. You want to get to the store in the winter. You got to walk to the store. You got to put 2 socks on, and you got to put long johns on, and so you got to learn how to just get it out the mud from the right away. I feel like.
As a kid growing up, did you have both your mother and your father in the house or no?
Nah, I never met my dad.
Never met your father?
Nah, he already passed away a few years ago, but he's from Cuba.
But, how did he pass away?
He's 74 years old by the time he passed away from complications. My uncle stepped in, though, and took care of me when my mom went to the joint.
So
she did a little fed time when I was younger.
So your mom did some fed time?
Yeah, Wasika.
What did your mother go to federal prison for?
Drug conspiracy with my brother's dad.
And how much time did she end up doing?
She said a few years.
And your uncle takes over when your mom goes to prison?
Yeah.
I want to know what it's like for a kid, though, to have his mom go to prison. Your mom's not present. What's it like for you inside?
I mean, you just make excuses for things, but you really feel like it's still you and your mom versus everybody else. So wherever you're at in the meantime, you're still trying to rebel against that because you feel like you're supposed to be with your mom. I can't really compare to nothing else. So, it's really hard to put in words.
Did you have to go to federal prison to visit your mom at all? Were you able to go visit her?
No, but I did. She ended up getting out and going back to the state, and I went to the state to visit her. They had a program in our state prison back then when I was about 10 where you could stay there all day and spend the night if you wanted. I didn't spend the night, though, but I stayed from the morning to 5 p.m. You play football, basketball, dodgeball with them, and then eat food. You get to eat the real food they eat from chow hall. You go on lockdown with them from the 3:30 to 5 lockdown. They shut that program down since then, though.
So you went years without seeing your mom then?
Yeah, about 3 years, yeah.
Do you think that affected your life and how you grew up not having your mom for 2-3 years in your life?
I mean, I'm sure it did, but also everything happens, how it's supposed to happen. The way she was living, it maybe wasn't going to be
I understand. Where's your mom at now?
She's around. She taking care of our kids now. She's a really good mom now. She got together. She's in Rochester, about an hour away from me, and she takes care of my kids sometimes, and my brother's kids, and she's a super grandma, so she's making up for it.
Is your mom Cuban also, or no?
No, she's white. She speaks fluent Spanish, though.
So you're Cuban and Spanish, but you're growing up in Minnesota. You end up becoming a Crip, right?
Yep.
How old are you when that happens, and how do you get involved in that?
Well, I mean, our families, my brothers, we all got different dads, right? So our families kind of meshed together, and then just over time, That's what I grew up around. I've been affiliated for a while, but when I was 16, I got officially put on. It was kind of the way it was going to be for a long time. I just knew that.
You get officially put on. How does that
Yeah.
happen? Is it through violence? Is it blood in, blood
Yeah,
out? I mean, what is it there?
you go to the yard, and you gotta see a few of the homies gonna try to knock your head off, and you just gotta keep your head on the swivel and fight back. Don't get knocked out.
So your gang initiation is you in there fighting these dudes to become a Crip.
Right.
And if you get knocked out, what happens? You can't join?
Try to get in late next time. You'll be on, but you gotta try again. Can't get put on through a knockout.
So if you get knocked out, you don't get put on.
Well, you still around. You don't know when you're gonna get put on. You're gonna just you've already decided you've been affiliated, and one day you're gonna all be hanging out, and you're gonna see a few of the homies walk up, and it's probably about to happen, and they're gonna take off on you, and then you get a couple seconds shuffling, and as long as you stay on your 2 feet, or as long as you don't go to sleep, you'll be all right.
Isn't that kind of crazy that in order to join this gang, these dudes that are going to be your brothers got to put their hands on you?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it is what it isn't, because that's the wild lifestyle you live in, I guess. And it's like they want to understand, like, okay, well, if this is going to be a problem for you, then this ain't really for you, which, it is sixth sense, and it does make sense,
So you're Cuban and white.
Yeah.
You catch a case, and you're on your way to USP Canaan. What do you go to federal prison for?
For a felon possession of a firearm. It was stolen from a different state.
How much time do you get in federal court?
60 months.
So with 60 months, how old are you at that time?
At that time, 24. I kind of locked up when I was 23, but at that time I was 24 when I got sentenced.
24 years old, 60-month sentence, and they're sending you to USP Canaan.
Yeah.
Were you nervous when you're getting on the bus and they say, "Hey, you're going to a USP"?
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I was told I was going to go to Wisconsin, which was an hour away. Right, the judge recommended me. That's how you learn how the recommendations and how things really what really means anything. The judge recommended me to an hour away from home, which was a media facility, but I didn't know my custody points were at. I don't have any violent crimes on record either. But I got all drug charges.
So you're walking into USP Canaan. Like I said, you're white and Cuban, and there's a reason I'm mentioning that. Kind of racially segregated, these USPs, the whites with the whites, blacks with the blacks, Mexicans with the Mexicans. You're walking in as a Crip from Minnesota. What's it like to be a Crip from Minnesota walking into a USP?
Well, when I came in, I was told to get on, I was going to be on Black Midwest time, right? That's what I came in on. That's what they tell the homies I'm here, right? Because they said the misconception was they're going to send you off because you're a gang member, right? So they say we do this, right? That's what my initial. That's what I was told initially, but I went in there and told them I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I told them I was a Crip, and so I started off Midwest time. But as you know how politics go, everything worked its way out to where that got changed around.
Well, I know how politics go, but the people listening don't.
Oh yeah, you're right. So how it goes is they're when I walk in the door. First of all, I had the white guys sitting there looking at me. I had the Puerto Ricans looking at me. I had everybody looking like, where the fuck does he go? And the white guys just kind of looked at me, like, you're not white, are you? I'm like, no. And then they say, where you from Minnesota? So the Midwest pushes up on me, and they talked to me for a minute. And then after we talked, they asked me, are you affiliated with? I said, yeah, I'm a Crip from Minnesota. So then they spun me to the homies and the Crips, and then we talked, and then we made everything right.
So who do you start running with? Are you with the Midwest car or are you with the Crips?
Yeah, I'm with the Midwest car, but I'm with the Crips. And me, I understand that if I leave this yard, then I'm going to get on Crip time, because they're going to take me in like one, in the units, So, and I did that when I went to McCreary. I ended up going to McCreary, and then I got on Crip time.
So you're in the Midwest coalition, right? Are the Crips kind of like, damn, bro, you're supposed to be with us, and now you're talking about you're on Midwest time? What's the reception like?
Yeah, it was kind of like that at first, right? And then I got my paperwork and gave it to them, but also they seen how I moved and I was with. I had told them like this: I'm on Midwest time. I won't watch any Crips get into it, right? So, and if I knew what I knew when I walked in the door, I would have walked in and said, I'm on Crip time right away. But I was told not to. But I told them I was backing them, get my paperwork, and because of the time I was there and everything, and the way I think I came with respect, that we had no problems. Like we were locked in. Every holiday we cooked together. People C days we cooked together. My C day they celebrated for me. So I think it's just more how you do things versus anything else. And people see that you genuinely come in, you with respect, and you didn't, you're not trying to hide nothing, and you're not lying when they ask you, are you this, are you that? A lot of guys be like, I'm not nothing, and then in 3 months they'll be finding out, yeah, they were this on the street. That's not really respected.
I always thought that was kind of odd, right? If you're a gang member, you're a gang member. For you to come to a prison and be like, you know what, man, I'm not a blood no more. Or I'm not running with the Bloods. I'm going to run with the New York car. Or, I'm a Crip, but really I'm going to run with the Midwest. Some people told you not to do the Crip thing.
Well, they said that in my city, they were saying that they were sending people off, right? If the California homies didn't respect our homies, so our Crips weren't getting on count. That's what I was told. So being where I was from, being young, I just ran with what they said, but also told them what was going on, when I got in the door. And
so,
we just ended up being locked in.
What is Canaan like for you, though? I mean, immediately as soon as you're there, is there any violence going on? Is it a laid back spot? What's it like?
I came on the bus with 56 people because I came from Brooklyn, right? So it's a double bus. They give you, when you walk in, they give you the paper to sign when you want to come through. If you've never, because back then they didn't. I heard they bring the SIS now, but when I was there, and I got there about 14, 15, beginning of 15, they sign a paper. You never worked with the police, not an informant. You're not a sex offender. If you do, you come on the yard and you're on recognizance. Half my bus didn't sign the paper. So we're going this way and keep going. We're looking like, where you guys going? And they just got their head down and they're looking around. They didn't sign the paper. And then my next day, Serrano said he crushed one of their own with a couple locking the socks and stabbed him up a few times in my unit on the way to chow.
So half of the bus goes to protective custody. The other half goes to the compound.
And then only 3 of us ended up getting our paperwork within that 30 days.
So only 3 people stayed?
Me, a Mexican dude, and some native guy. Yeah, man. We didn't talk, but we saw each other. We shook each other's hand off the respect of.
So
you're still here.
You're there only on the second day in the Serranos attack one of their own guys.
They already knew he wasn't right coming off the bus. In there, people think they can hide, and laundry lists come early. We get the names and the numbers, and people do their background checks for people who walk in the door, and they already waiting on them.
So we're going to tell the people what the laundry list is, right? Before you get to a prison, your name comes on this list because they got to get all your clothes together for you, your jacket, your boots, what size you wear, all of that good stuff. They already know who you are. They know that you're coming. So the people at the prison know before you get there on the bus who it is. And they're like, yo, you guys know any of these people? And sometimes people are like, oh, that's one of the homies. I know him from Cali. Or, yo, I know this guy. He's from New York. He's no good. So now there's already a plot in motion to destroy you before you even get to the prison, right?
Right. So the laundry list, every state has its own last 3. You know how that goes. They probably don't know, but like Minnesota's 041 for us, right? So if a 041 list was coming, they'd say, hey, and I'm in Pennsylvania. There's about 6 of us from Minnesota when I got there. You know what I mean? So they're like, hey, who knows? Y'all know this guy, and if they know you, and good or bad, then sometimes they'll find out who you are, but usually they can find out who you are too. It's a small world. Like, if you did something bad somewhere, that name's going to be running through the BOP system. They call it the fine, right?
Do you have to get a weapon when you get there?
I mean, yeah. I would say so. If you say you don't, you're just playing in your head, Now, you're not supposed to get one. I'm not supposed to have one for my first, 30 days till I get my license, till I get my transcripts and my dockets and plea agreement and everything else. But,
So walking into federal prison, in order for your homies to give you a knife, you got to have your docket sheet, which tells everything that happened at court. You got to have your sentencing transcript, which pretty much the judge and the lawyer, the defense lawyer, the prosecutor, they all talk and everything's going on at sentencing. They can tell whether or not you cooperated. And then your judgment of commitment, right?
I got my transcripts right here. Yeah. Yeah, your judgment of commitment too. Yeah. Yep.
So when you turn that stuff over, that's what you call getting your license. Now they check you, you're good. Someone gives you a knife. So what kind of knife do you get?
I got a paint roller. I had bought a paint roller right away, and I folded the paint roller straight, snapped it in the holes in the bunk, and sharpened under the toilet, and took the jogging string off and wrapped it, tied it around, made a nice loop for it, and I snapped that in half. I made a bone crusher. You call that a bone crusher?
Would that be an ice pick or a bone crusher?
Well, that's what a bone crusher kind of is. When it's because the paint roller is flat, is like a ice crusher type of, like a wiry. I'll put it, but
it's like a real big. It's like a real big nail. Let's say that, right?
Like
and then a bone crusher, sometimes they cut out of a bed, right? You use nail clippers, you cut the knife out of the bed. Now you got a real piece of steel like this. It's a flat, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's you use welding wire. You can get a hold of welding wire.
Yeah. So you're on the yard. You got this knife on you. You're a Crip, but you're running with the Midwest car. Do you keep your knife on you at all times?
Yeah, because you got that car and you got a floater. And a floater is, you mean to break what a floater is down?
Yeah, of course. Tell them.
Okay, so you in the unit knife is your metal knife, But when you leave the unit, you can't bring a metal knife with you. So you got a floater, like you take a plastic cup back from chow, and you melt that down or whatever you can get to melt down there, out of plastic and make you a knife out of it, And then you take that with you to the yard, school, wherever, stuff like that.
Are you involved in any type of violence while you're there?
We crushed the homie and sent him one time in the unit. I actually snuck over to his unit, but I didn't get caught for it. They said they knew what happened, but they didn't check this. If they didn't knew I was from a different unit, then they would have got mad. They caught me in the unit before they found him. So we whooped him in the cell pretty bad, and they cleaned him up. While they cleaned him up a little bit, because they were trying to go home, we had something going on, right? He's going to walk up though afterwards, right? So we crushed him in the room. I got out the unit on the call after the wreck move, and then he checked in.
So you go over there, you go to a different unit. You might be an A unit, but you can just walk right into B unit. You go in there, you jump on a dude, stab him, hit him with a lock, whatever happens. You can always get in someone else's unit and do something to them, right?
Yeah, you wait the child, leave the child, you come back with child to the other unit. Your homie give you another jacket that has preferably that's the way you want to do it. A jacket from that unit has that color for that unit or that sticker for E2 or F2 or whatever the case is.
So you sneak in that unit. Why does this dude have to get crushed? What did he do wrong?
He was to get his paperwork, and he was from Minnesota. So, he was he gave us a handwritten letter from his mom saying why he couldn't get a sense of transcripts. And he told him he's going to go, and he was acting like he didn't get the understanding. So, and it was kind of like he's from Minnesota. It was my way to come in and let them know too, that.
So this guy gets a handwritten letter from his mom at a USP saying, "Hey, we couldn't get the transcripts."
You try to explain why she couldn't get the transcripts because it was too many days for sentencing, and too much to type up.
Wow. So you guys are like, yo, we're crushing him. So after you crush him, is he trying to fight back or no?
I mean, I think I really remember him just balling up. I mean, the way it happened, it was kind of over. Like my guy hit him first, right when I was sneaking into the door, and I ran right behind him after he hit him, and then he stumbled to me, and it really wasn't nothing to fight back with him. You know what I mean?
And he just leaves. He goes up top. The walk of shame, like, yo, I'm just going to check in.
We gave him a nice, 2-3 minute whooping, though, So he was kind of, at that point, we had understanding that he was just happy to go up top. And we pulled nice, didn't use him, and we let him know that. Because we both had a little under 5 years. We both weren't trying to kill nobody,
We talk about killing people. Ever see anybody killed? Anybody get killed while you were there?
Oh, yeah. A few people got killed while I was there, for sure. The dude I was talking about the second day, he got killed. The Sereno got killed.
Were you there when the old man he killed the younger guy from North Carolina? Was his cellie? They tried to rob him. The old man had been in 30 years. He killed his cellie.
I watched that, but no, I didn't. I wasn't there for that. I got out of Canaan in January 18.
Worst thing you've seen at USP Canaan while you were there?
The worst thing. Well, the worst thing for me to remember is when the craziest thing was when the white guy started stabbing AW in the kitchen. That was pretty crazy because another white guy jumped in to help him. But the worst thing when I saw the Tongo Blast kill one of their own on the yard, and because I was really, really close to that, so you could hear that last death yell, that last death scream, and they really put that work in on him. It was 112 punctures in his jacket.
112 punctures. Let Let me ask you this: the white guys. We'll talk about that in a minute. The white guys jump on the warden. Are you in the kitchen when that happens?
I'm on the assistant warden. Yeah, he's actually the warden in McCreary now. And I was just I went to McCreary and he was the warden there. But yeah, I was in the kitchen. I was probably 15, 20 feet from it.
Why do they attack the warden?
Sister Warden was just being walking around, just act a certain way. And the day before, he messed with the guy's food. They made these new walls in the kitchen where you can you get your food out of the slot. You don't even see him as much no more. And he saw it's you, and pulled it back, and then put it straight back out. And it was like, thinking it was funny to joke with him. And dude was like, "No, man, give me a new tray." And he said, "Man, screw you, get the fuck out the line." And the next day, that guy came back and he wasn't, he meant business.
What's the AW doing when he's getting stabbed? Is he trying to fight back? Is he screaming?
Well, he's on the wall with the other ones. So, I mean, he's just guy got a hold of him. He's hitting him. He's just grappling with them. But I mean, the other SEALs are jumping in. But it's a big white dude. I mean, he was working. He had to spinning around in circles, stabbing. I mean, and then when they were getting him to the ground, the little white guy from Tennessee jumped up and got the stabbing SEALs too. That was the craziest thing I've seen as far as just not giving a fuck.
So some of the white dudes are helping this other dude?
One other white dude jumped in, from Tennessee.
Who do you think was the most wildest group over there?
Well, the wildest group, I had to say, just because of where we were in DC's backyard. There's more DC than New York on the yard, for sure. So I mean, they're their own. They have their own swag about them, their own way. So and they're pretty wild too. So on that yard, they just had the most stuff going on. It seemed like, because they're in their backyard, they're dealing with inner conflicts. But as far as pushing the hard line, man, you really can't take it away from put one person above one group or the other, because the whites, they push a hard line, the Mexicans push a hard line. I mean, the gang cars push a hard line. So you really can't say. And all how that goes with gang politics is that the line is with the line, and if you don't follow it here, you're screwed your next spot. So I mean, when you're a member or you're part of the different the white different cars, they got gang independent cars, but it doesn't really matter. If you do something wrong outside of pushing that line, you don't just get to go to your next spot and live peacefully. So I mean, their lines are pretty in the sand. So I can't put one over the other, but DC just always had a lot going on, and they were always getting some wild shit because it's in their backyard.
The Tango Blast, you see them actually decimate one of their people. What's it like to stand there and watch something like that?
It takes you a second to register, that's what you're saying,
Say that again?
It takes a while to register, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing what I'm seeing, they actually stabbing the shit out of him,
Is it shocking to you? Is it like, damn, man?
It is, but I always reminding myself I don't have nothing to worry about. So it's it stopped getting this nervous stuff I've seen and going through it. At first, you're nervous when you walk in because you don't know what to expect. You're anxious, but that stuff was definitely shocking. It's more so just showing me again how crazy the Mexicans could get down out of nowhere, and you don't never see it coming, because that's the first ones I saw when I got there, and they were just laughing and doing this, and the same ones that were just laughing my second day there, and stabbing dude literally 10 seconds later. So and it's kind of how they did the same setup there. They're kind of sneaky with it. I know
you said you didn't have nothing to worry about, right? You're all right because you didn't have nothing to worry about. But what happens if one of the homies, right, that you're in the car with, they get into it with a Sereno on the yard, and now it becomes a big thing? You don't know. You didn't have anything to do with it, but they could come in there and, get rid of you.
That's the part that's never going. That anxiety part will never leave of one if you have a car crash. You always hope that's the one thing you do hope, because that's the one thing you can't control, right? Is a car crash, because you got to move accordingly, right? It's hands-on policy. So you just try to make sure you watch your homies and they keep out of bullshit that'll start that from coming. That's clean our own yard for a reason. But yeah, I mean, that's what you don't want to happen. That's the one thing that does get, that you can't control it, and you have to move accordingly.
Was there ever a time in there where you were like, damn, man, I might be in danger?
Oh, yeah. There was a couple times where I thought that, the danger was going to happen, it was going to go down, and, I could be in danger of getting hurt or getting more time. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
people hustle in there. What was the hustle game like?
Well, that was how it was going. You send somebody to the yard to grab you something, and they come back with it's not what it's supposed to be. Now it depends how that goes, but you can't get played. You know.
Were you ever getting money over there?
I mean, yeah, I was dibbling dabbling for sure. I mean, you getting indulged, especially when you got a kid or something. You realize like guys in there are getting paid, but you could risk getting more time and getting more drama too, for sure.
For sure. What was the main hustle over there? What was the number one drug at USP Canaan?
Dude, K2 probably K2 Suboxone.
K2 and Suboxone. People are getting rich in there off of that K2, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially at this time. I mean, this is when it was coming in, your favorite football team schedule. So it wasn't like it is now, where it was everywhere.
I'm sure you've seen people smoking that and getting absolutely out of control. What have you seen dudes do that are smoking deuce in there?
Run inside the SEAL's office and swear they're trying to kill him. Get into it with their own homie, swearing they're trying to set him up out of nowhere. Just seeing the whole just switch, just change, and just flip out. And I've seen the dude start twerking.
You seen him start twerking?
The guy ran up top for it, yeah, because he was a gang. I'm not gonna say what gang he's from, but he was a gang member too.
So this dude was a gang member. He smokes a little bit of deuce, starts hallucinating. He starts twerking in the middle of the day room.
Yeah, no, in the tier holding on to the railing. Yeah.
Did they beat on him or just send him up top?
They fucked him up and sent him up top, but they didn't kill him though. But they as a gang car, they used to kill him. They beat him so fast that I don't think they even thought it all through. It's just kind of like you see this, you see that. What do we do? Fuck him up right here,
You might not tell us what gang he was in, but what state was he from?
He's from down south.
Oh, so it was a dude from the south. All right. So now you're sitting in Canaan, right? We got to pump this interview up, man. I got to get you alive, man. You might need a coffee or something. You're in Minnesota. No. It might be early over there.
Yeah, it is.
So when I had asked you about the dude dying, right? I want to go back to that because I'm going to interview a lady whose son was just killed at Big Sandy about 30 days ago.
Damn.
When you see someone lose their life, you're in prison. I know we hear all the time. You become calloused. You become immune to the violence. But when you see that dude actually take his last breath, because you mentioned hearing it, what did you feel like inside? Did you feel any remorse? Like, damn, bro, dude just lost his life? Or you were like, hey, it's just another day at Canaan?
I mean, I did think about he lost his life, right? But I had asked what was going on when it was happening. Like, what was going on? They said they stabbed him when they found out he was a rat, And it was another reminder of just like keeping it solid. Like, if you're going to be out here, keep it solid. Don't do shit you can't handle. You know what I mean? Because you guys run around and they get involved in all this shit in the streets and everything in jail, and it becomes too much for them. And now you're in here, and this is the last place you want to be. You know what I mean? If you somebody told on somebody, this is the last place they want to come to is USP. Because you could tell in the state. What happened with him was he told in state time. You know what I mean? So he was on gang time in the feds, and nobody knew he told in the state. But somebody saw him from the state eventually and got to produce the paperwork. I'm gonna tell you how it goes. You know how it goes. But if you know somebody's told the state, you can't just say that he told on the state. You gotta get that paperwork already sent in. You know what I mean? And they got sent in.
His penalty for his sin was obviously cooperating with law enforcement, but his penalty was death.
Yeah. And
how many times you see guys will stand up and be like, "Yo, man, it's all right, I'll do it." Guys that are willing to go kill someone in prison.
Oh. More than I thought that I would see, for sure. I can't really count them, but I mean, guys that got a lot of time or they got life, they feel like, I'm gonna go get this badge of honor, and I'm gonna, live good, within my gang or my group, my car for the rest of my time in prison.
Some people look at it as a badge of honor, like, yo, I killed somebody. I'm going to ADX. When I'll be back out of ADX in 7 or 8 years, and people are gonna know I mean business, and they're gonna respect me because I'm a killer. They kill for fun, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's all they got too. I mean, they're on drugs still. You got to think people are on meth, people are on heroin, people are on Suboxone, people are on K2. People are junkied out in there, you know what I mean? And not in a disrespectful way, but it is what it is, like people are just forgetting life. They want to heal that pain. And they're in there. And also, if you got 100 years, then you kill somebody right over here, you get ADX where you get a TV in your room for a while. You'll be by yourself for a while, right? And then on top of that, when you do hit the yard again, you got that rank, and you're gonna get put in the mix of all the money when you hit the yard, and you'll be able to, have your hands and everything, and you'll be somebody in this world that you're living in now. You know what I mean? Which is the prison world, in the federal prison world, which is a whole different, animal, because it's small in there. You know how it goes. Like you're from Buffalo. Anytime you meet somebody, when you're, hey, you know so and so Buffalo. Who you know from Buffalo? Who you know from Minnesota? Like that's how it's gonna go right away in there. So everybody knows everybody. Your name gets you places. You go somewhere and you got a stand-up name, which killing somebody gives you a stand-up name. You know what I'm saying? So you can be a piece of shit. I met a lot of them come from the yard. They finally got off ADX and they've been to the smooth, and they're known they just kill somebody, and everybody like, man, yeah, he's official. He's this, and we start dealing with him. He's still a piece of shit though. You know what I mean? Like he's still gonna take the dope and run off and pay his late and try to run play games with it, and he's gonna. I mean, it doesn't change. Lie, doesn't make doesn't make them a good person, like to deal with, just because you get sucked into that thinking, oh, he's a good dude, he came from killing somebody, so he's a good dude. You know what I mean? And that's not really the case.
So sometimes you catch a dude, he kills someone, he's the leader of his gang, then he ends up becoming a dope fiend, you could say. And now after everything he's done for his gang, now he's no good because he didn't pay his bill, and they can massacre his ass, and now he can't go nowhere eventually, right?
Facts. Well, I mean, he can come somewhere. If you owe a debt, you get crushed for a debt. You gotta, they'll fuck you off that yard, right? But they'll be good the next yard. You know what I mean?
Well, I've seen people, that have done things, and eventually they get exorcised from their gang. They're like, yo, you're out of here. And now they can't go nowhere. And, at one time they were violent. They were doing this for the gang. And a shot caller ends up not liking them. And sometimes they make up reasons. And they decimate you, and they ruin your career.
Oh, yeah. And everything you just did and all that time you did in ADX and everything you run around for is gone. It's just like the streets, though. They love you when you up. And then, it takes anything to turn you the wrong way. And all of a sudden, like you said, shot callers don't like you. That's big. There's a lot of inner politics inside the cars, what people don't know about. It's like they're from, he really, let's say they're a gang that the shot callers from California and they got from everywhere else inside there. They might show favoritism, you know what I mean, to the California homeboys that are in there. Or the Texas homeboys are from Texas, or the New York homeboys are from New York, but they're all from different cities or states, but they're part of the same gang,
Do California Crips accept guys from Minnesota? Do they respect you, or are they like, yeah, you're a real homie?
They do, because I got homies I talk to still in Cali right now that I linked up with. They've come out here and stuff like that. They do. It's just about who you are and how you move, not just who you are, but how you move and how you carry yourself. And you got two deal. Not every homie does though, So not every Crip in California does respect it. You know what I mean? So
did you ever feel like there was some Crips that didn't like you because of your nationality or because you were from Minnesota? So they're like,
I fought a lot of homies in jails. You know what I mean? Over just get the respect thing. Like, and then we're cool, but it's kind of how we call it going to the yards. So when you see like somebody's playing with you, and they think that you're less than. You know what I mean? Like, you want to take it to the yard real quick, and you get off your chest. That's younger. That was the thing that I did in jail probably once a month. You know what I'm saying? It was especially for my state bid. It's like to set the record straight. But then you come to feds, and it's not really like that either. But you can fight your homies in there.
So you walk out of Canaan. You finally get out of Canaan. You got a 60-month sentence, which is absolutely ridiculous to even send you to a place like that. You walk out. Are you, in your mind, are you like, man, I'm never going back? This is it?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because I handed my knife away right when I walked, right as I was leaving the unit. So the homies walked with me. The Crip homies, the ones that walked with me out. And I gave my knife to my homie from the Bronx. And right stopped at his cell, which is right by the middle door of the unit where you leave. Handed him everything, gave everybody a hug, and I walked out. But hell yeah. And then I went back to McCreary on a 9-month violation and went to USP McCreary after that.
Let me ask you this, though. How long were you out before you catch that violation?
I did about 5. I caught a violation. I didn't go back for almost 3 years. So I caught a violation within the 3 years, and I had 2 weeks left, right, when I caught this violation. And the brother I caught a violation with my brother. That brother, right now, I caught a violation. I went on the run after that because it was COVID. I didn't want to sit in the halfway house, and I didn't want to fight my state cases from the halfway house where it didn't count. My brother I caught that violation with, though, he catches a Fed charge gets 27 years. He goes to McCreary. So by the time I turn myself in and get caught on the run, I didn't turn myself in. They caught me when I was on the run. I get sent to USP McCreary for my 9-month violation, and I actually got to see him again.
What was the violation for?
I was in the car when the driver got caught with some drugs and stuff on him, right? And I had weed on me and money on me, and so did my brother. But he had the actual, the stuff on it. But they said because I'm around it, and I never even seen him with the drugs, right? And they said, and he got his charges dropped, right? They said so. I don't even know how much of that stuff was true. I was in this Rochester, Minnesota, and I got a lawsuit going on with them. They did some weird stuff, and they just basically violated for sales around controlled substances. But then they dropped his, saying that the controlled substances didn't come back as controlled substances. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't have any on him, but I still had the violation.
Crazy. So 3 years out, 2 weeks left before you're off post-supervised release. It's almost over. You catch the violation. What's it like to have to go back to prison after being free for 3 years, and especially to another USP?
At this point, I was free this is 23, and I've been out since 2018. It's been 5 years. I was on the run for a couple, about 2.5 years. So it was about 5.5 years by this time when I came back, and it was crazy. Just to have to come back, because McCreary was worse than Canaan. Now, when I get to McCreary, I got on Crip time, though, even though it was a violation.
So you get on Crip time and you get to McCreary, you're like, yo, I'm one of the homies, I'm a loc, whatever. They embrace you. You say it was worse than Canaan. Why was it worse? What made it worse?
Well, they have a commissary thing they do, right? Let's say, so this crazy shit. We in the unit, you call it a night. Guess what? Our unit don't get commissary for 3 months. The COs get in there. The CO walked up to me and said, "What's the white boy doing with nigger hair?" Right? Cause I have braids. Like real redneck white guys there, like COs. Real, like, call you monkeys. Stuff like that. Like stuff you hear about when you're in the hole or in trans in Oklahoma and you never seen it for real. That's how they are there. And you're locked down. I was there for like about 8 months, and we're locked down for six of them.
What was the violence like, though? It was locked down. Was there violence?
Oh, yeah. People got stabbed and airlifted within every 2 weeks minimum. Like we were on 2-week lockdown. We come off for 10 minutes. Lockdown. Somebody gets stabbed again. Because at this point, people just want to get the fuck out of there. And mind you, the commissary is horrible. I mean, some units didn't get commissary for 9 months. When I got there, my brother was there. He lost 40 pounds because he can't get to the store. Then on top of that, they don't let you bring your food from your unit on the walkway to get handed to other units. They don't allow that. So they're just on a whole different kick there because, like I told you, ironically, that CO, the warden, the assistant warden I saw get stabbed in Canaan, is now the warden in McCreary. And if you look this up on the Washington Daily Paper, they got it. It's called Gilly's House of Horrors. It's on the Washington Daily Paper. I'll send you a link when we're done. It's about McCreary during this time last year.
I read the article. A dude wrote the article from D.C. about the food and how people were being treated. I read that.
Way from D.C. We came on the bus together to McCreary, and we were in Canaan together when I did my bid. He was still doing his time though, so it was ironic. That's kind of crazy how that all worked out too.
So how long you been out now?
I've been out going on a year next month.
Are you done with post-supervised release? No more?
Done with the feds. Being done with the feds is a blessing in itself, I swear to God.
What are you doing with your life? You got kids? What are you doing?
Yeah, I got 4 kids. I got a content media management company I'm starting, but I've been working for like promotion at a nightclub and stuff, selling bottles basically, like third party for the club, by promoting the party. So if you buy a booth, you get bottles. I get my but I'm trying to stay positive, and I started a media content creation center, trying to tell people what they should do for content because it's been working for me. Helping women out with their content, stuff that they might do,
Yeah. What's going to keep you from ever going back to prison, brother?
My kids, and just understanding. I feel like when I went there, I got to get a look at like the rock bottom of the bottom. Like guys in there that's kingpins that were making millions of dollars. You know what I mean? That was somebody. And they need soups. It's not their fault. You know what I mean? Families just left them. Things, especially go to places like McCreary where you don't get commissary like that. So these guys are there starving. They could live like kings in the world, but you can starve in jail and live in the most ridiculous circumstances in the world. And I know I was lucky to come back home. Like you said, I seen people die when I was in Canaan. When I was, like somebody died, I was McCreary. Somebody died McCreary right away. If you saw the article, he was dead for 3 days when they found him. So when you see these things and you know that you've been there and you know you just, made it out of the places. I mean, when I left Canaan, the next day there was a race riot in my unit.
Race riot. Bad things happen in those places. I'm glad that you're free, brother. I hope you stay out. I hope you're able to take care of your kids and be the best man you can be. Anything you want to say before we get ready to go?
Yeah, man. I just I appreciate what you got going on and everything. And people that don't understand, like when the people are in the federal system, if you got family in the federal system or locked up in prison, don't think you know what type of time they're going through in that federal world. You know what I mean? Just people that have loved ones that's locked up. Understand that it's a different animal. It's a very political game in there, and they can get hurt because people don't like them, not just because they're not right. And on top of that, if people that aren't right, make sure they stay the hell out the federal system too, because that's the last place they want to go to, because a lot of people lose their lives in there. And just understand that it's hard doing time anywhere, but that BOP is a whole different animal. You know what I mean? And you could probably be on for hours explaining the different animals there are inside the system with the ways everything works.
Or we can just bring it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The mafia, that's like the guards, the COs, they're like their own little mafia in there. I mean, how they do it, the hole. We need to get into the hole in the penitentiary. I mean, if you got time, the hole in the USPs is its own dangerous animal, because you got to have a cellie, and they put you in the cell with a check-in. You got to crush him, or you can't come back to the yard, right? That check-in might crush you with the handcuffs still on, because you got to get yours off first. I mean, it's so many different things the person has to deal with, that when they come home too, that shock they see in everybody's eyes for a reason,
For sure. I mean, like you said, it's a whole different animal. The food is absolutely horrible. The living conditions are horrible. The mattresses are so bad that you feel pain in your hip if you lay on your side, if you lay on your back. The cops are absolutely disgusting and outrageous. It's not a place you want to be. But anyway, brother, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, sharing your experiences. I'm going to tell people, if you like what we're doing, you already know what it is. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.